Now we are going to have a video from Kellen Chauhan. He will be talking about accessibility, the big picture, starting out with learning accessibility can feel overwhelming, and there's a ton of information. So his video will talk about where you can get started with that and help you navigate through the learning process. Kellen has been working in WordPress and front-end development for almost 5 years. He's currently working at RT Camp, a WordPress VIP Gold agency partner, where he's had the chance to work with multiple enterprise clients. Kellen found his interest in the world of web accessibility recently through one of those clients, and that exposure to accessibility has helped shape his perception towards the importance of inclusivity and how a developer can make changes in their mindset to include accessibility at the time of development. Kellen is here and is available if you want to speak with Kellen or ask him any questions in the ideas section in the chat.
Hey everyone, how's it going? How are you doing today? My name is Kellen and welcome to this lightning session. This lightning session is called Accessibility, the Big Picture. And before we talk about the things that we're going to be discussing in this topic and what it's all about, let's talk a little bit about who am I. So my name is Kellen Chauhan. I am a web developer based out in India. I have been working in front-end as well as WordPress development since past almost 5 years now. So currently I'm working with RT Camp. RT Camp is a WordPress VIP Gold agency partner. So around last year through RT Camp, I had this opportunity to work with one of the clients who were working on enhancing accessibility for their website. So that is when I had to take this kind of a deeper dive into this topic, and I had to learn how to implement accessibility friendly websites. And it was kind of overwhelming at first because I did not know where to start from. When you start out with learning about this topic, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first. So this session is about giving you a kind of a mental model or kind of a blueprint so that you can approach this topic in kind of a structural manner. So if you're a developer, you will be able to see what accessibility is, and you will also be able to see what kind of things that you're going to be doing as a developer for implementing accessibility friendly websites. So you'll be able to see what kind of changes and practices you need to make and what kind of changes in your mindset that you need to make in order to make sure that you're considering accessibility at the time of development. And if you're a product manager or a project manager, then you will be able to see the technical side of this aspect. All right, so let's jump right into it. Accessibility, what is it? Accessibility is the practice of making your websites usable by as many people as possible. Now, this is not a standard definition of what web accessibility is, but it is something that kind of made a lot of sense to me because the kind of things that you would be doing in order to make accessibility friendly websites would mean that the website's usability is going to be optimal and that it's going to be usable by as many people as possible. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about what do we mean when we say usable by as many people as possible. So different users have different needs depending on their situation to be able to consume content on the internet efficiently. So the different situations, such as let's say that there's a user who is not able to see, or the user can only partially see. So in such a situation, the user would be using assistive tools called screen readers. Screen readers are the topic of this session mainly, but there are different tools depending on different situations and needs that the user may be using. So I encourage you to take a look into those tools and take a look into how they are used in your own time. But because this is a lightning session, we are going to be only focusing on screen readers. You can find information about these tools and how they are used on W3C's documentation. So when we are talking about different situations, it can be also kind of a temporary situation. So for instance, let's say that your mouse stops working or the trackpad of your laptop stops working. So in such a situation, you would be entirely relying on your keyboard to interact with your website. And if your website has not been developed considering these different needs and situations in mind, then you may not be providing the optimal user experience that your users deserve. So accessibility is about that. Accessibility is about considering these various users, their needs, and these different situations and developing so that you are ensuring that the user experience that your website provides is optimal. All right. So let's take a look into what are screen readers. So screen readers are a form of assistive technology that renders text or image as a speech or braille. Usually screen readers are a piece of software that are built into your operating system. So for instance, on Mac or iOS and iPad OS, we have VoiceOver. In Windows, we have Narrator, and in Android, we have TalkBack. So before we go further and talk about the technical details of how screen readers work, I want to show you this quick clip, a video clip that will kind of show you what kind of experience is it to use a screen reader and how a user actually uses a screen reader. So let me play this clip for you.
List 2 items. Link. Skip to main content. Link. Skip to search. Visited. Link image. MDN homepage. Main menu, navigation. List 3 items. Link. Refer. Headings menu. Heading level 3 link. Introducing the CSS cascade.
So as you saw in this video clip, that the screen reader starts reading content on the screen from top of the screen and moves all the way to the bottom of the screen. And along the way, it reads about the content that it encounters on the screen. And it also announces about the underlying meaning of that content and supporting information. So for example, if it's a button, then screen reader would be announcing that this is a button and that it has an action and that it can be triggered by clicking on it. All right. So let's take a look into how screen readers work. So the way the screen readers work is by querying something called Accessibility API. Accessibility APIs are a piece of a software you can think of, or an API that your operating system provides, and screen readers they query this accessibility API for knowing what's on the screen. So how does accessibility API know what's on your web page? So for that, there's something called accessibility tree. So an accessibility tree is something that your browsers generate based on your web page, and it contains information about what's on your web page, and it also contains some structural information and some meaningful information, such as if it's a button, then it's a clickable, and so on and so forth. So the way it works is that screen readers query accessibility API, and accessibility APIs, they query or they consume accessibility tree from the browser, and that is how your screen reader knows what is on the screen and what is on your web page. So this means that if you want to make sure that the accessibility experience of your website is optimal, then you want to make sure that the accessibility tree that your page generates is optimal and has useful and rich information in it. So accessibility tree is a really important aspect of accessibility experience, right? So it would be nice if you could interact with this tree and kind of add data, helpful information into it, right? So there is no direct way of doing that yet, but there are indirect ways of doing that. The indirect ways are, one, by using something called semantic HTML. So this means that in order to render some of the content on your page, you would be using the most optimal tag that can represent that information. So for instance, if you have a heading, you would be using H1 so that screen readers would know that this is a level 1 heading. And this is how semantic HTML gives some more extra information to such tools so that they can announce more helpful content and some context to the screen reader users and assistive tools users. All right, we will be taking a look into that more. So let's take a look into the other way, which is ARIA attributes and roles. So ARIA attributes and roles in itself is kind of a bigger topic, but for the purpose of this lightning session, let me give you a small example. So for instance, let's say that you have a drop-down menu. So the drop-down menu has state, right? It can be open or it can be closed. So how do you tell such tools that what is the state of your application currently, or the drop-down menu currently? So how do you tell the screen reader that is it opened or is it closed? So you can do that by using something called ARIA expanded. It's an ARIA attribute, and its value can be set to either true or false. And if the value is true, then that means that the screen reader would now know that the current state of this menu is open. And if the value is false, then the screen readers now know that the current state of this menu is closed. And depending on when the user interacts with the menu, you would be writing JavaScript code so that you can update the attributes value so that it reflects the correct state. So that is one way how ARIA attributes can help in providing such stateful information to screen readers and assistive tools. So depending on different situation and the kind of information that you want to give to the user, you would be using the combination of semantic HTML along with ARIA attributes and roles. So let's take a look into the example of how semantic HTML helps in creating the user experience for assistive tools. So on this slide, we have a screenshot. On the left-hand side, we have a snapshot of HTML. And as you can see, this HTML is not really semantic. It has a lot of divisions in it. And as a result, you can see on the right-hand side that the resulting accessibility tree is not really well structured. By the way, you can take a look into this accessibility tree from your browser's developer console. Most of the browsers provide you to look into the accessibility tree that the page generates. Right, so you can see that it's not really well structured. It's really difficult to understand which link belongs to which text and which image belongs to which text and so on and so forth. It's kind of confusing. Now let's take a look into what happens when you update this HTML and make it semantic. So in this next slide, I have highlighted the piece of tags that has been updated to use the semantic HTML tags instead. So in here, I have converted the wrapper division into UL and the child divisions into individual LI elements. And then the title has been now written in H3 tag. So now you can see that the resulting accessibility tree is very well formatted in a way. You can see that there's one list and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 list items. So this means that when screen readers consume this accessibility tree via Accessibility API, they can now tell that there's a list, and they can announce that there's a list, and they can announce that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 list items in this list. Now screen readers can also announce when they reach this list item. They can also announce that this is list item 1 of 5. That way the screen reader user now knows in which list item they are on. Now the screen readers can also announce when the list item is starting and when the list item is ending. That way the screen reader would know and the screen reader user would know that all the information that was spoken between these two was relating to the same information or same entity. Now, the other thing that this HTML, the semantic HTML helps with is that now because we have written the title in H3, the screen reader user can use shortcuts to jump between these H3 titles. That way they don't have to consume all the content one by one. They can just quickly jump between these H3s and they can quickly get a sense of what this list is all about. So like you can see, just changing these three things, UL, LIs, and H3, just changing such small amount of code has resulted in such a great or such an enhanced accessibility experience. So I encourage you to be mindful as developers. Next time when you're writing any component in your code, then make sure that you are taking some bit of time to be mindful about what kind of HTML tags that you're using. What you can do is you can go to W3C or MDN's HTML reference and kind of see different HTML tags and kind of try to make the best guess that in the given situation and for the given piece of information that I'm trying to render, which HTML tag is best suited for that. And it might take some time in the initial stage. It's a couple of weeks only, but after those couple of weeks, it kind of becomes the first-hand nature, and it becomes part of the practice. And especially, it does not require a lot of effort to make such decisions, right? And making such decisions can have a greater impact, like we saw. So I really encourage you that you take that time. Another thing that I want to highlight is that only semantic HTML is not going to be enough in all situations, though in most situations it will help, but in some situations you will have to also use ARIA attributes. So I also encourage you to learn and take the time and learn about ARIA attributes as well. All right, so in this next slide, we have the comparison of both the accessibility trees, and you can see the one on the right, the one updated, has a better structure to it. So how do you know what are the things that you need to consider while working on your website? what are the things that you need to consider to ensure that your website is accessibility compliant or accessibility friendly. So for that, there is something called WCAG. WCAG is kind of a set of recommendations that explains how to create accessibility friendly websites. So for that, there is this resource on W3C's website that you can just visit the at a glance section, and you can kind of get a better sense of what this is all about. They also have a quick reference guide where you can just go through each and every recommendation one by one, and you can see what are the different techniques that you can use in order to achieve each and every recommendation. It's a really helpful resource, and you can spend some time to learn about these different guidelines. And after some time, this also becomes kind of a first-hand nature. All right, so the other way to know what are the accessibility violations that you're making is by using Wave, ARC Toolkit, or Xdev tools. These are browser-based extensions that can be used to know what are the violations that your web page is making. And one thing I want to highlight is that these tools are not going to tell you the 100% of the violations that you're making, but they will do a good job in highlighting about 30 to 50% of those violations. The last tool, which is PA11Y or PALI, it can be used for automating such tests during build times or CI/CD times, so that these tests can be automated. All right, so with that, I believe that's pretty much it. And thank you very much for attending this session. You can reach out to me if you have any doubts or if you need any help with getting started with accessibility. I am available at KELIN1003 on social media such as LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram. Thank you very much and have a good day.